Let's look at the kinds of problems that occur when individuals do not have the support they need to develop their preferences during the first half of their life. Understanding and becoming aware of these patterns is going to lead to greater understanding for oneself and for others so that we can help other people, and especially students and young children, to develop their preferred preferences. Looking at the lack of balancing the auxiliary. This is a really common developmental pattern, and it's the lack of the balance because it's a failure to develop a preferred way of perceiving and a preferred way of judging. So it's going to impact both the sensing and intuition as well as the thinking and feeling. The failure to develop the judging function leaves a person like a ship without sails but no rudder because they cannot really make a decision. Now, the interesting thing is they tend to be spontaneous and likable. They may even be very charismatic or charming, but they are not able to follow through with anything. No matter what's going on around them, they cannot complete a task or follow through. They may be very resourceful in the moment, but you'll find that they don't complete what needs to be done later. These are people who are endlessly enthusiastic about places and people and ideas, but they never commit themselves to a course of action. People who fail to develop the perceiving preference, on the other hand, take in almost no information before making decisions. They're going to cling to their principles and values, and they are going to be incapable of seeing any other point of view. And this is because their judgments are reached very quickly, but generally not so clearly. They tend to be clouded by ambiguity or contradictory facts because they haven't really proceeded to look through all of the information. They do not hesitate to decide for other people, and sometimes they even become very dictatorial. New situations and changes in any kind of environment throw them into extreme confusion and anxiety and discomfort, and they become very upset, and they have no reliable way of processing any information and therefore cannot make a decision, which becomes either delayed or no decision at all. Let's look at the balance of attitudes. So a related problem with the development piece comes from a failure to develop this auxiliary function. So remember, this is going to be opposite of the dominant function. So the dominant function is the function that's normally used in the preferred world, meaning extrovert or introvert. And the auxiliary function is the one that enables them to communicate with their non-preferred world. So we're going to look at the extrovert. So an extrovert with both perceiving and judging preferences. They seem never to pause for reflection, their internal processing, they fear being alone or inactive. They're constantly looking for some kind of enthusiasm, interactions, activities, something. They do not like to be alone. They have a great fear of it almost, and they become across as being very, very insensitive. They've become extremely dependent on everybody else. Okay, so although it's less common in the United States, there are also introverts who fail to develop that auxiliary function. And they are drawn to their own ideas, their feelings and sensations, but they have no way of communicating it to other people. Everything that they have developed stays inside of them and never leaves. So the impaired ability to deal with both an inner and outer world results in a developmental pattern that is going to interfere with effective adult functioning. They're either going to be too energetic and too outgoing, or too shy, too reserved, and almost scared of themselves at times. So people who are extrovert, everything are left with very few inner resources. They're going to forget to take the time to really ponder and reflect, because remember, extroverts still need that time, whereas the introvert is going to have difficulty with communication and testing their hypothesis and what they're thinking. Because the dominant function normally provides a person's guiding focus, the failure to develop trust and facility in its use has more troublesome results. Remember, this is especially true when you have a culture that has a bias for extroversion, and this failure mostly occurs for those who have a preference for introversion. For introverts, the problem comes not only as a result from environmental influences, but it also becomes a part of their nature of introversion. It means that their dominant function is going to be kept inside, and it's not going to be shared. Very sparingly will they ever take it out and share it or tell anybody what they're thinking. And because introverts do not receive much feedback on their dominant function, others see and react to and comment on their auxiliary function all the time, which really is going to hinder the development of that auxiliary function. When we look at the misuse of the dominant or the auxiliary function, we realize that it's a failure to develop trust. We need to be able to develop the trust in both of these functions. And misuse of one or both of these leads to a type development problem. Many factors influence the way a particular individual is going to develop. The type preferences are just one, and using a type development, however, can clarify the path that one needs and allows for extreme and potential individual growth.